So we are going to get another round 4 game going for you guys. Round 5 is currently underway, but no matches are available to watch quite yet. So I'm just hunting one down.
Yeah, while we're doing that, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings after round number 4. We have 6 players still undefeated. Currently in the number 1 position, we have Nero Genius, a.k.a. Nero, in position number 1. Coming in at number 2, Mike Moran. Number 3, Heaton. Number 4, Sadistic. Number 5, Coast City. And number 6, Death Realm, rounding out the currently undefeated players after round number 4. Coming in at number 7, we see Thume. And rounding out the top 8, we have Jeff Hoagland. And then, of course, still players within the running. We see number 9, Dow there. Number 10, Metronomy. Number 11, Sirius. Number 12, Ubiquity. Number 13, Subtype Cat, excuse me. Number 14, Urkadar. Number 15, Gilfin. Number 16, Nuffle Army. Number 17, Raging Yoshi. Number 18, Yogs. And number 19, Curtis Kapahala. What do you guys think of this list so far?
A lot of familiar names there. Quite a few people who I would almost expect to be there. Nero constantly putting work in on his Bash and Clash performances, which is really exciting. We watched a couple of these players already, and it's exciting to see how their standings are progressing. It is fairly early in the tournament, even as round 4 has ended. Those numbers could completely flip on their head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
3 rounds to go, and I am done with the casting for today, but I'll be back tomorrow.
Wait. Are you not going to stick around? We got one more round 4 here.
I don't know what he's doing.
I didn't realize you were pulling up another round 4. All right.
And I found you a spicy one.
Well, all right then. If it's spicy,
I want you to see these opening hands so bad. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a mulligan. Once of these I believe they'll be up on screen.
They're on
now. Yeah.
Oh, this is so spicy.
Yeah, right. All right, so we have a match between Swigmonkey and Arkaz. I'm reasonably sure we don't have player cards for either of these players, so I didn't mention it earlier. We are watching a match between the Renner champion and the Yarna of Lost Voices champion. For those of you that haven't seen these, because they haven't been popping up a whole lot recently, Renner is 5 charges. Put the top card of each opposing champion's deck into your hand, and then its thresholds become blood. Wrong? Oh, put the top shard
of your opponent's deck into your hand.
That, of course, being the joke, not the actual card title. Yarna, one of the more interesting recent charge powers of the Frostheart release. 4 charges, you draw a card unless the opposing champion buries the top 5 cards of their deck, which is an interesting little charge power, giving your opponent the choice. There has been a bury deck going around. It has been fairly powerful. I believe it was kind of inspired by Ali Antrazi. So we'll see if that's the case here. Bottom hand, though, is nothing but spice. Dream Call, Violet's Caress, and Bounty of the Magus. I love that opening hand. And I'm going to progress things just a bit here because I think Yarna is going to toss this 1 shard back. And they do. But they had some spice in there with the Librarian, Splinters of Bakrug, and the whatnot. Why don't you tell us about the top player's hand now that they've mulliganed?
Oh, we've got Rizix, a Cult of the Nameless City, a Hero 4, and a Smoke Claw Raker. I think that's been a long time since I've seen one of those, but I think that's what it's called. And a couple of resources, but no blood. The first hand wasn't a keeper. And this hand just about is.
Just about is. Looking for blood. Arkaz is on the draw here, so they will get a chance at drawing a couple of times here. But man, there is a lot of spice there. I really like the city, the Lost City. Just giving yourself the Cult of the Nameless City, I believe it is. Sorry. The constant bury, the eventual card draw payoff.
Oh, let me interrupt you there with some cheeky laughter, because that is another one, and that means 2 cards a turn from the top of the opponent's deck.
Now, These decks are also running Fever Bloom. I will give you, like I said, I've been playing a lot of Constructed recently. Fever Bloom, really exciting because then that'll be 4 cards a turn being buried off. And it can, we find a Well of Cunning. So our our thresholds were always on point. Arkaz never didn't have it.
Good.
Here comes the Cult. And Renner looking to play a little bit of a slower game here with the double Violet's Crest, Bounty of the Magus, and the Dream Call. But they are under a lot of pressure very quickly here from the Yarna deck, losing a little bit of cards off the top. They actually have a Nameless Truths in their deck as well. This is the second time I've seen Nameless Truths today, and the second time I've seen Nameless Truths in Constructed ever.
Escalating the Caress there, we see the 2 cults of the Nameless Cities making it so that Rizix is down and proud of it. And yeah, I mean, these 2 cults, they're both draw 3.
Yeah, that is. So Cult of the Nameless City, we're going to just pop that back up on the screen here real quick. It has its bury effect, but it also has a special one-shot where you can pay 1 resource, and as long as your opponent has 20 or more cards in their crypt, you draw 3 cards, which is 3 cards for 1 resource is outstanding value. You would almost think too many.
Yeah, so we see some more spice, another bounty coming to hand there, and we see the Violet's Caress. Ooh, another cult. That would have been nice to draw for Arkaz there. Renner says no. But yeah, the Violet's Caress can kill off that Rizix and do it without putting a card in the crypt as well, which is actually fairly relevant in this matchup with 2 Cult of the Nameless City down. Bounty of the Magus gets played. Another Violet's Caress comes to hand, so that's some serious escalation going on there. We see the Crusader actually socked with Berry, so it buries off 4, and that is also relevant. Burying off escalate cards is definitely something you want to be doing.
So a real fun thing here, we see the Blood Ice played by Renner, who's probably going to choose to put a resource on the top of their deck purely to have the potential of it being buried as opposed to a card that they would actually want. Not even gonna
no!
Yep.
So the Crusader gets killed, and from that we see the 4th hero fall, a playtime, and a Demented Ascension. Demented Ascension is very much like the other Ascension cards, except it's based on cards in Crypt. I think it's more cards in Crypt than in deck.
Yeah. If you have more cards, you become the Paragon of Insanity. And you know what? Let's just take a look at that because I haven't seen the Paragon of Insanity in quite a while. You become the Avatar of Madness. Your charge power becomes pay 1 to look at 3 random cards in an opposing crypt. You play 1 of them for free and void the remaining. And every time a card enters an opposing crypt, you deal a point of damage to that card's controller. So, very quick game finisher at that point.
Of note, that went down, the Demented Ascension went down, and then the playtime came out. And when you see a Demented Ascension on the other side, you probably don't want to bury the top half of your deck. So the resulting effect was he got his Cult of the Nameless City back.
Sometimes you just got to take that back, you know?
Here's the draw 3s coming in force.
Yeah, and at this point, it's really just going to spiral out of control. Yarna's going to be able to activate their charge power to draw another card. We know that there's a bunch of hero falls. Rizix is kind of putting some damage in here, but I don't actually think this game is going to be decided at all by what this Rizix has done. You know, he's been a good lad. He's been putting some pressure on. He's pretended. Thankfully, Bounty of the Magus and Violet's Caress actually offering a fair amount of options. Violet's Crest pinging the face for 4 now. Renner going to take the top card of the opposing champion's deck, which is a Ghastly Exchange. There's 2 times this match that it wasn't a shard. Very weird.
Yeah, Renner has changed his ways apparently, and we see importantly a Violet's Caress going off the top there. So any victory by Violet's Caress is being whittled away by the berry here, and that Demented Ascension is so close to popping.
Well, gonna put some Spiderling Eggs into Renner's deck, which is gonna slow it down just a little bit here. But I don't think so.
It's interesting, but it's actually way worse for Swigmonkey.
For 2, okay. Okay. Oh. So the Horus of War was activated, forcing both players to discard 2 cards, take 2 damage, and sacrifice 2 troops. And now, even though it wasn't at the start of this turn, we are finally at a point where Swigmonkey has more cards in his crypt than in his deck. So at the start of the next turn, Yarna of the Lost Voices, or of Lost Voices, is going to become the Paragon of Insanity. We're going to see the desperate Bounty of the Magus trying to hunt down the Violet's Caress, actually finds one. You see if this Violet's Caress targets face or chooses to remove, say, the Tribunal Magistrate to prevent a load of damage from coming through. A couple of Vampire Princes come down. A lot of damage on the other side of the board, but Swigmonkey is at 28 health. A bunch of Spiraling Eggs are going to go into the crypt. And Paragon of Insanity Arkaz now on the board. Going to activate that charge power. Going to take Journey into Nightmare and put it into play for free.
Kind of more Barry.
The librarian is gonna Barry-arian some cards here. And a couple of those cards are Spiraling Eggs. So Swigmonkey needs to win right about now. Oh, and the Culmination of Blood comes out, which is just going to tear away that Violet's Caress. I don't think it would have to be Bounty of Magus into multiple Violet's Caress here, and it's not. It's a Sapphire Shard. We got to see a Paragon of Insanity and Constructed. Woo! Well, actually, it's probably more likely to be seen there than in Limited, but got to see a Paragon of Insanity anyway, which just makes me happy. There's more to this match, though. I like both of these decks.
Some funny stuff going on there. Cult of the Nameless City being stolen and then stolen back. And man, 2 cults and there was some shard issues there. And the cults just did work anyway.
Yeah, early cults always going to be able to put a lot of work in if you're not able to put pressure on. With the removal of Lasgar's Vengeance, aggro has shifted away from being a popular archetype. I'm not going to say that it's not playable because I think that that's incorrect, but less people are playing it. And with less people playing aggro, the ability for Barry decks to, for this Yarna deck in particular, not necessarily Barry decks, but the ability for this Yarna deck to be able to get the engine going for what it wants to do is way, way higher. Like the ability, the time frame, the fact that the troops will survive, and that the health total of 21 isn't a huge liability anymore. So game 2 up on the screen here. Renner on the bottom side with more threats than they had last time. Prince, Strangle, this time a Hero Fall, alternate animated art into the unknown and Hero Fall. Quite the swag looking hand. Well, Yarna's got the Cult of the Lost City. Cult of the Lost City or Nameless City? Cult of the Nameless City. And no Sapphire Thresholds.
Yeah, so this is a very dodgy hand because Into the Unknown is there to potentially help with this Vampire Prince situation, but that's double Sapphire, let alone single. So I don't know if I would keep that top hand, man.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Future Nicholas is letting you know that is going to be mulliganed away to a hand that I can't imagine is going to be kept either. So you'll see that pop up soon. So a little bit of trouble for Yarna, who is going to go to 5. Keep their 5 though.
The cult is there. Double cult next turn.
Not necessarily a double cult, but cult and Ghastly Exchange.
Oh no, the cult's coming off the top.
Oh, okay, yeah. That didn't happen, but could have, I suppose. A little bit of a little bit of a weird thing here with the replay feature. If there's no troops in play, then the constants sit behind the hand. So I apologize for that, but that's where they be. Yarna finding resources. Hero falls are okay for them. Going to be really okay here, especially as well.
No way! No, that did not just happen. Okay, this game is potentially the greatest game of Hex ever played. So we see the blood come down for the hero falls here, but that just got turned into a Boglum of the Mad Marsh.
Yeah, just to put that up on the screen, a Cult of the Nameless City being removed with Into the Unknown turned into one of the most powerful berry troops that has ever existed, and yeah, just the coincidence of it all is really just quite grand.
Like, he's even on the picture of
yeah, he really is. That being said, though, there is another downside to what has happened. All 4 Cult of the Nameless Cities are now something else, so that is a little bit of punishing. They might all be Boglums. There is a non-zero chance that they are all Boglums now.
Just chiming in, wouldn't it be funny if it turned into the Karzaran into the on the Cult of the Nameless City? So what, into Journey into Nightmare is the other one, right? On that card?
Yeah. I mean, it can't technically do, not to rain on the parade, but one of them's the Librarian. Journey into Nightmare, the kid is there, and then there's an unreleased Coyote, one of which is the wrong threshold. Well, 2 of which are the wrong thresholds. I guess it could have turned into playtime. But yeah, if one of them turned into playtime, that would be pretty sweet. We're going to see Nameless Truths coming down, though. Targeting some cards in both players' crypts here. This is a power action, the kind of action that voids itself after it's played. It allows you to take a constant, an artifact, a resource, and a troop from crypts and put them into your hand, I believe is the full text. We're going to see Yarna activate their charge power. Be allowed to draw a card. Swigmonkey does not want to lose any more cards in the hand. And here comes...
At this point, Swigmonkey is like... He didn't even check the card. He's like, that's just main decked. It's got to be main decked.
And in its attempt to be Hero Fault, Ghastly Exchange is going to activate to pull an Underworld Crusader out.
I'm upset about that.
Well, I mean, he can't sacrifice Boglum to pull Boglum back into play.
No, but he could have waited for a troop and then pull Boglum back with the new troop.
You don't think that might be just a little bit greedy?
No! It happened. That means it's destiny. That got transformed into a Boglum, and you just have to go all in at that point. What are you thinking about here?
Could have got a phone call. Hard to tell with the replay feature, to be honest.
Okay, Magistrate is the choice. The Hero Fault is there. It is an option. But I suppose, actually, getting the Magistrate down as quickly as possible and getting those Spider Eggs in is pretty good. We see Copycat instead of a Magistrate, which isn't great. Honestly, it could be good later. Combinations at 9, apparently.
Yeah, well, I was curious. There's a lot of cards in the crypt for it to be at 9.
Oh, it's not even a Copycat, is it? It's a Tale of Destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be one of the Into the Unknown cards, but it's funny because it's like that could have hit Boglum. Boglum's unique.
Hey, there are still other cards in that deck that have been hit with Into the Unknown. Maybe
they could also be Boglums.
That's true. Tale of Destiny comes down. Prophecy on that next troop, the next unique troop in the deck, when it comes into play, will get an extra turn. Man, imagine if there is one.
Now imagine if there is one, and imagine if the Journey into Nightmare takes it.
Yep, that would be acceptable.
Everything about what's happening in this game is something that I'm okay with. We see Bounty of the Magus pick up a Vampire Princess. A Vampire Princess pretty okay here. It's going to draw some removal. But, I mean, it basically has to draw removal here because otherwise it'll slowly gobble it up into kisses.
Librarian is unique. That is true.
The Librarian is unique. Ooh. Spicy.
It's very spicy.
Getting to play the Librarian and swing with it in the same breath of turns sounds like something I'm super down with.
Yep, and the pickup there was another Crusader as well, which is going to be some berry. I don't think the XR gets played over this.
Well,
no?
We're getting very close to Culmination being playable as well, which is relevant.
Web Scribe is not a unique troop, unfortunately, for Swigmonkey here. Bounty of the Magus draws a Massacre Runebind. Runebind is an incredibly good pickup here.
Yeah, that'll stop the unique troop with an extra turn from coming into play like that.
Yeah, Renna, are you going to take that troop? No, you're going to take the Demented Ascension, though.
Which it has the possibility of triggering in this matchup. It totally does. Now, so I think it's worth mentioning, you have seen your opponent play playtime. Maybe you don't put the Demented Ascension onto the board.
Yes, but I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Willie Murray is the next one. Unfortunately, this Ghastly Exchange is a mandatory bury on both players' decks, so there is always a chance that the exchange is going to put that unique troop into the crypt as well.
Yeah, we're going to see a Massacre here.
This is the moment Yana has been waiting for. The 2-card hand and the Raker.
The Moa Mint.
Oh.
Because the Moa was just played?
All right. I get it.
The woolly Moa Mint, if you will. Smokeclaw Raker takes away cards in that hand. Transmogrifade left, though. Journey into Nightmare actually makes Smokeclaw Raker not so bad. Essentially drawing 2 cards a turn here.
Steal Intel into Rizix that has an extra turn.
Oh, no. The Moa is going to block.
Something Borrowed and Psychic Ascension both here together.
The Moa is gone now. You could say that it is no Moa. Something Borrowed is going to be able to take that Rizix for an extra turn of his own.
That's not.
Nope, I lied. He might take that rune to try to take the Demented Ascension. He does.
Well, okay then. This just got interesting. There is the berry, 20-19 now against this exchange. I don't understand why this extra turn isn't being played right now.
You know what it honestly could be? He might just not know it's there.
I suppose.
He's looking for the Librarian because maybe he's like, oh, the Librarian is unique. Maybe the idea of Rizix being unique just never came to the mind. Yeah, see, you're going to drop the Librarian, and he's like, all right, I'm going to get my extra turn. Wait. I really want to believe that that's what's going through the heads right now, because like, how often really does Rizix being unique come up in a constructed match? It's probably a one-up Rizix.
You got to play the Rizix here.
So he became the Paragon of Thought, but now he's going to become the Demented Ascension, but he's not going to become the Demented Ascension because of the scrounge from the Death's Head Rider, bringing the deck back to 1818. So he's going to get a turn as the Paragon of Thought.
He didn't play the Rizix. My mind is blasting.
The culmination happens. The Paragon of Thought random action becomes an Arcane Zephyr. But
oh, the Rizix with the extra turn. He's got to sacrifice to get it back.
Yeah,
I'll take the Boglum. Take the Boglum.
The Boglum. The Librarian is going to swing in here. A lot of these troops are unblockable. Arcane Zephyr is going to be played just to give a troop onto the board, which can potentially block the Koryu Infiltrator. It's not big enough to do that. Some damage comes through. The top 4 cards of the deck are looked at, one of which is going to be put into Yarna's hand, thanks to the Librarian.
Into the unknown. Good choice. Please.
He might
get that Rizix. You get an extra turn for free. Please get that Rizix back.
Into the Unknown is activated, getting rid of the Journey into Nightmare. No more extra turns drawn here. There's only 11 cards left in the Paragon of Thoughts deck. 15 in Yarna's, and there's 2 cards being buried from both players each turn. But we are going to see the Paragon of Thought lose the ability to be the Paragon of Thought here. This actually is a pretty big deal, because the Paragon of Insanity is probably a little bit worse right now. Charge Power can be activated. He'll look at 3 cards from the opposing crypt and put one of them into the hand. Can a hero fall away the Librarian real quick?
He's not going to get it.
Of course not. The Ghastly Exchange is going to activate, getting back Rizix.
No, I mean, he's going to let the Librarian die, and then he's going to get the Librarian back, and not Rizix.
That would be a thing he could maybe do.
That is, I mean, it is a first. Probably switching Paragons in a game is probably not happened too often.
There are only 4 Paragons you can be.
Get the Boglum or the Rizix, or I quit this game.
There are 3 Paragons.
It's a Crusade. It's a Crusader. That's not.
Well, he wants to win through Barry. I can kind of understand what's going on. Wait, he activated the Charge Power, but he didn't get a card back into hand? What happened?
Huh?
Well, he activated the Paragon of Insanity's Charge Power, and he chose not to take a card.
Oh. Maybe he didn't understand how it worked.
Maybe, but he's dead now. Well, as close to dead as he can be. Here comes the swing. Paragon of Insanity is going to go down to a health total that just doesn't matter. Yarna going to sacrifice to get some life drain to go up to a health total that frankly doesn't matter. Down comes Penteo, and this entire turn is essentially a null value. The deck is empty. You can't Fate Weave anything on. Paragon of Insanity is going to get an Underworld Crusader with 1/1 on the play. It's play a card, not take a card, somebody is saying. So he might have got a resource or something. That's fair. Well,
I mean, there weren't really mistakes. They were just things that he did wrong. Like, not in terms of winning the game, but in terms of, maybe having an extra turn.
Yeah. But we got to watch probably the most exciting match of Hex that's ever been played, which I'm super down for. A Cult of the Nameless City getting turned into a Boglum thrown into the Unknown. A Tale of Destiny in a deck that could totally use a Tale of Destiny, hitting a troop that didn't want to be played. Multiple Paragon triggers. We got to see the Paragon of Insanity twice in 2 games. Like, how often does that happen? By different players, right? Yeah. Like, the Paragon of Insanity in both games was different because Journey into Nightmare stole it. That's just crazy stuff.